channel. If this is your first time here, hello, I'm Siobhan, and I am going to be testing out the Too Faced Do You foundation today in Snow. While Snow is listed as the second shade in, it's actually the lightest shade, in my opinion. And it's possible that Swan just looks a little darker because it has a different undertone, but it's the Tutti Frutti Do You. My current favorite foundation is the Peach Perfect, and this has been advertised as being the sort of dewy version of this. So I'm hoping, especially since we are going into the winter months and it's going to be getting much more dry, that it's going to be an awesome foundation, be my new favorite. Also, I did a tiny swatch in store, but I haven't really had a chance to experience the smell too much. With the Peach Perfect, the combination of the artificial peach and the fig, I love the smell of fig. Fig is what I usually look for when I'm looking for perfumes or for body sprays. But the combination of the fake peach and the fig is just not, like, it's not a terrible scent, but it's just not my favorite scent. This is supposed to be scented like melon. So the little bit that I swatched in the store, I just kind of smelled, and it smelled really good. But I was in a hurry because my boyfriend was waiting for me in the car while I ran in to grab my foundation. So it's a lot thicker. So when I do my foundation, I just do it on these little inserts from the inside of eyeshadow palettes. If they're nice and thick, I keep them and use them. This one is actually from the Lime Crime Venus palettes, and they are the best. They last forever. So it's pretty thick. Yep, it's a nice thick foundation. So it's definitely thicker than the Peach Perfect, which is fine. It's supposed to be full coverage, and the reviews that I saw on the Ulta website said that it's not really full coverage, which is fine with me. I actually prefer a slightly less full coverage. But if it turns out, oh yeah, it smells kind of like honeydew and watermelon together. It smells good. I definitely like the smell of this better. So this, I don't think I said the shade. This is in Snow, and I use Swan in Peach Perfect. I am sort of annoyed that they don't have the same color matchup, because if you use their foundations, and it's not just between these two, it bothers me a little more with these two because it's, kind of been advertised as the alternative for the other one. But it also, with the Born This Way foundation, the shades are not remotely the same. And so I tried to get that foundation at one point, and I ordered it online in the shade that I am in the Peach Perfect, and it showed up, and it did not work on my skin, so I didn't really get to test it out that well. This, however, is looking pretty. It's definitely dewy. It's definitely not full coverage. So I might see if we can build it up a little bit, because right now it's a pretty light coverage. And I don't have a lot of skin imperfections that need covered, but I can definitely see, like, I have these moles here are kind of what I use as my guide, my indication of how much coverage a foundation has, and that is not much. So that was 2 pumps already. So let's see how 2 more pumps go, which means that using this with a sponge would also, because sponges suck up so much more product. Sorry, I keep fixing my nose ring. But because sponges soak up so much more product, I can't even imagine trying to use this with a sponge, how fast you would go through it. And it's not like it's an inexpensive foundation, so we'll see. Definitely am getting more coverage. So it is definitely buildable, and it doesn't seem to really be streaky, so you can use a brush, which is nice. There are some foundations that as soon as you start to build them, you just get a bunch of brush strokes in them. And you can see every single time that your brush touched your face in the foundation. And that's not a gorgeous look that anybody's going for, at least not anybody that I know of. Now, it's dewy, so if you are new to foundation and you don't know what they mean when they say dewy, it means shiny. So you can see here my cheeks, my chin, my nose, a little bit on my forehead. I would definitely say if you have oily skin and you're trying to not have the world see your oily skin, this is not the foundation for you. If, however, you have dry skin and you like the smell of melon and you don't want a super high coverage, this is not, it says full coverage. It does. It says full coverage right here. Focus. I got a new lens and it still doesn't want to focus. Anyway, says full coverage. So that's just not true. You can get like a medium coverage out of it. All right, we're gonna see how it works with other products. I will say that using it without a primer, it is sitting really nicely on my skin. It doesn't, like, these creases are not like super overly pronounced. I don't feel like I have anything like weird going on anywhere. So that's a plus for sure. The Peach Perfect, because it is a matte foundation, there have been times when I can see it like right in here. So that's something to keep in mind. And then I'm going to use, I somehow ended up without having a sponge here at all. I'm going to use just a tiny bit more because this spot, I don't know what it is about the spot right here between my eyebrows, but it hates foundation, or foundation hates it. I don't really know which, but it definitely is the spot where I have the most issues. So, okay, so let's see how it does with powder. I know that having a dewy foundation, putting down powder might seem a little bit counterproductive, but I plan on using other powder products over top of it. So on a day when I wasn't using powder products, I would probably still just powder like right in this area. Maybe. Actually, maybe not. It looks really pretty. I really love the finish. But since I'm using powder products today, we're going to go ahead and put some powder on it. I'm just using the It Cosmetics Bye Bye Pores Pressed Powder. This is the translucent. It's the one that I use all the time. It is my favorite pressed powder that I've found so far, and I've tried quite a few. I used to use strictly powder foundations, so switching over to liquid foundations for a while, I was trying to use powder foundations to set my foundation because I just like the set down look that it gives, and that's a good way to look very quick, cakey, very quick. So it plays well with powder. It definitely didn't turn it cakey. I like it. It toned down the shine, but you can still see like some of the dewiness through here. So even with the powder on it, it definitely gives me the effect that I'm looking for in a dewy foundation. So the last thing to do is the under eyes. Okay, so I thought that I was going crazy because I use this concealer every day, and so I was sure that it was on my vanity. It had actually rolled off of the side of the vanity at some point, so I feel less crazy. So this is the Urban Decay Naked Skin Color Correction Fluid in Lavender. I do realize that I put on my powder before my concealer. It's that kind of day. It should be fine. I don't do crazy, like, I'm just putting it in here to help even out the hollows, bring them out a little bit. So it's not going to be a super issue because there's not going to be a whole ton of blending. I went and got a sponge while I was up too. This is the Japanese sponge. The brush that I was using for my foundation is also Japanese. It's their dense foundation brush. And then the powder brush is the Sonia Kashuk powder brush from Target. I raved about her brushes before. I really, really love the new line of brushes. I still don't love the previous ones. I still have a few around, and when I use them now, it's even more disappointing because I'm comparing them to these ones, which I really like. So there's that. All right, so I'm going to use just a tiny bit of powder under my eyes, not with a bronzer brush because that would be stupid. All right, so this is the Aesthetica P12. I just like the shape of it for under my eye. So I don't always powder under my eyes because I find that it almost creases more no matter which powder I use. Like, I just get creasing because I have bags underneath my eyes. So if you're somebody who watches a bunch of videos and people are always like, powder and bake, it's not always the best way to go. Also, you can definitely see right here I have some red spots from where I have a little bit of acne, and those are certainly not covered up by the foundation, even with the powder. So it's like a low medium coverage, but with a little bit of concealer, that would be fine. Again, if you're looking for a full coverage foundation, this is just not going to be the foundation for you. So just go into it knowing that, and I'm sure that you'll be fine. I am going to be filming another video. I might put both of these up tomorrow since this isn't part of the daily series, and I just wanted to go ahead and do a review on this because I was looking for reviews when I was trying to decide whether or not I wanted to buy it, and there just aren't very many reviews on it still, even though it's been out for a while now. And going into the winter months, I know that people who have dry skin are more likely to want to use this foundation. Again, I really like it. I think that it has a great finish. I haven't worn it for more than the 20 minutes that I've had it on, but I will try and remember to update in the description box or in my next video, or both. So it won't be the very next one because the very next one I'm filming right after this, but the next one that I do, when I do it tomorrow, I will try to remember to say in that video and put it in the description box whether or not the wear time was decent, whether it broke down, if it had any issues, if it oxidized at all. Right now I would say the shade match is pretty good. And My lights wash me out. That's it. My thoughts right now on the Too Faced Do You foundation. It's glowy. It's beautiful. It's not full coverage. It smells nice. And the colors, if you know your color in other Too Faced foundations, do not go by those colors. Try and get into an Ulta. These are Ulta exclusive. And the Peach Perfect is actually Sephora exclusive. Competition in business. So if you can get into an Ulta and test it, I definitely would recommend that. Otherwise, I would recommend ordering it from Ulta because they have a great return policy. So if you get it and it's not your shade, you can always send it back and get the right shade. So it also has an 18-month shelf life, which is pretty amazing. And it's 1.35 fluid ounces, which isn't quite as much. So standard foundations are 1 ounce, and the Peach Perfect is 1.6 ounces. So you're getting a lot more than average foundation. And then this one is 1.35. So you're still getting like 1 1/3 of another brand, which if the price is something that you're considering, if you break that down into fluid ounces, this isn't going to cost a lot more than a lot of other sort of mid-range foundations. So also something to keep in mind. Anyway, I hope that you get an opportunity to try this if you wanted to, or that this at least helped you a little bit with making a decision. If you have any questions, feel free to post them down below. I'm more than happy to answer them. And thank you for hanging out. Bye.